the courage to get the best of the parts so that we have quality nuclear plants. And of course, the rare earth corridors, you mentioned, four of these. Similarly, persons of Indian origin will be permitted to invest in listed companies. Again, is going to benefit all this. Now, as far as the Department of Science and Technology is concerned, to add to what Abhay was saying, we have a very visionary announcement made in the form of National Geospatial Mission. Now, how this has a larger impact is when I say that this country is now increasingly confronted with the issue of rapid urbanization happening. And some of our projections say that by 2030 there will be a huge amount of urbanization most of the country, turning from rural to urban. So in fact, most of us where we work, where we live, even in this city of Delhi, were villages till about 3 years back. But can we allow this kind of urbanization happening in an unplanned, unorganized? Because we've seen the consequences. So we have now a dedicated National Geospatial Mission, which is going to be a sequel to the National Geospatial Policy, which this department brought about 2 years back. And that will in turn connect with Gati Shakti. So that you have an organized urban planning using modern tools, satellites, drones. Like for example, you have only one of its kind city in India called Chandigarh. But possibly if we are seeking that kind of planning, then we need to have a more institutionalized plan. 4 telescopes, Professor Abhay has already spoken about, and how they are going to supplement the space program also. The carbon capture 20,000 crore with Dr. Rajesh Gokhale mentioned is going to address our environmental issues, going to address our industrial decarbonization, and also the circular economy. So multiple benefits. And AI in agriculture. So we have AI now being used almost everywhere, formally, officially, unofficially. So we have tried to streamline it in a more institutionalized manner by giving an exclusive emphasis or exclusive kind of an option for agriculture AI, which is called Bharat Vistar. So the farmers are benefited by the optimum utility of AI without getting exploited by its effects which are not desirable. And similarly, AI for Divyans. In the Indian Semiconductor Mission, we have ISM 2.0, which is of course a continuity of the earlier one. And in the Earth Sciences, Dr. Ravi Chandran already mentioned. In fact, I think it's also a matter of gratification for us that most of the announcements which are made for other ministries also have a bearing on our ministry. So none of them would be able to carry forward any of those announcements or implement them without the support of one of these ministries or one of these secretaries setting on this side. That's what was being hinted by Dr. Kalai as well. So the fishing, allowing fishing in the exclusive economic zone is a big game changer. Possibly sitting in New Delhi, we don't understand the implications of it, but if same media meet was held in Chennai, for example, it would have created a lot of enthusiasm and curiosity. So deep sea fishing, other fishing zones which can provide better quality. So it's going to be economy, it's also going to be a step towards food security. And as far as Jammu Kashmir is concerned, there's one interesting, because Pallav always undertakes all these adventures. He would travel to that place to first see saffron, then to see lavender. So now there are going to be mountain trails for trekking, but mountain terrains exclusively for northeast and Jammu and Kashmir. So the same place where Pallav went for lavender also has trekking support. They are actually conducting that kind of trekking arrangement. So it will be both tourism as well as sport. So I think now, because it's better that we take your inputs and then respond, but I think also the importance of reaching out to you, and I'm glad, as Rijiji was saying, that We are the first ministry to have done this briefing. Of course, we didn't have the privilege or the good fortune or the blessing to be finance ministry as was rightly mentioned, but short of that. So I think that's also because of the realization where we deeply feel, and we also feel indebted, humbled, grateful that most of the announcements made for each of the, even for Divyangs, are technology driven. There's a Divyang Kaushal Yojana, a self-help entrepreneurship for women, which is appropriately named as SHE program. So the idea of reaching out to you as soon as possible was also that these are some of the, the earlier mindset does not absorb these things very readily. So we need to actually make them explain. Say, okay, there is something for everybody. There is something for the middle class man as well. There is something for the poorest of the poor as well. Because we are given to that thought process, how much salary hike and how much. But all this in a nutshell is going to help. 4 institutes of Ayurveda in the country on the terms of, 3, sorry, on the lines of aims. So all these things put together, and yes, 2 institutes of pharmaceutical, both academic as well as 3. So all this is going to affect all sections of society. So I think with your help, we will be able to carry forward the right message and also be able to convince each and every citizen of this country how best to carry forward this mission of Viksit Bharat or the New India.
Thank you very much, sir, for your detailed and insightful address. Now the floor is open for Q&A. Please introduce yourself, class.
Jacob from the Hindu newspaper. I have 2 questions. One is for Dr. Kranikar and then for you, Mr. Sir. The question for DST is, we had 20,000 crore allotted for the private. The thing is, rocket failures are part and parcel of the process, but the problem is we have not seen a proper analysis yet, not only of this, but of the previous PSLV failure on why exactly is something as reliable as the PSLV failure. And this, because this sends a very negative message to investors who want to conduct launches on our workhorses. So just want to get these ones.
Got it. You speak the first one, the more difficult one, which you want to invest to me.
Yeah. So I think, as you know, that the RBI, the cabinet approved it in the last July. After that, we had approved the scheme guidelines and the special financial rules and the notice inviting second-level fund managers on November 3rd. And then we initiated the process of appointment of the second-level fund managers, because RBI fund is not going to directly invest in the corporates or in the startups. It is going to invest through second-level fund managers, which will be, the AIFs or DFIs and so on. So that, application last date for receiving the proposals from the second-level fund managers was January 31st. In fact, we have received an overwhelming response. 193 fund managers have applied, and now we will be shortlisting them and selecting them, the fund managers. But in the cabinet has also said that statutory organizations like Technology Development Board of DST and BIRAC, they can be appointed on nomination basis. So that process was completed, and therefore currently only Technology Development Board and BIRAC, they have been appointed only as the second-level fund managers. And that is the reason, we could not spend the entire 20,000 crores. And this year again, the 20,000 crores has been allocated. The total fund size, as you know, is 1 lakh crore. And as per the cabinet approval, the fund needs to be deployed over a period of 7 years. So it will be get deployed over a period of next 6 to 7 years.
Success launches record statistically is better. Whether it is Chandrayaan 3, moon mission or Mangalyaan or whatever. Secondly, now a popular notion that has gone around that the what happened last time, that is happening again, you are not able to rectify it. The answer is that what happened last time has not happened now. It's like sitting in this room, the light goes off, last time the bulb fused, this time there is a tripping outside. So that is one thing. It's not that we were so unwise that we could not pick up last time again. Third, it is also not that we are not doing an appraisal which is fair. In fact, the appraisal is not only done very analytically, minutely, but this time we are also having a third party in order to create confidence building. Although our experts are good enough, even the kind of appraisal that we had, mostly within the structure of peace code. Fourthly, now they are saying, what will happen to PSLV? When will you go? Why you are quiet? Obviously, many of our scientists, they are not used to talking to media. But I have to make you understand that the launches, the dates of the launches are not decided sitting in a room. You have to take the consideration of the configuration of the planets, etc., etc. For example, if you miss one launch, then the second launch can't be decided at your fancy or your will. It's like marriage is made in heaven. So it has to be decided from the heavens when the next date will be. Our probable next date, which we are very ambitiously targeting, may be somewhere in June. If we move on as we have after the receiving the report of the committee and then rectifying everything and satisfying ourselves, the next probability may be June. Though there's always, a last minute change happening due to many important reasons. Now, most important is what you talked about, the credibility of the private investors. Now, we live in evidence-based era. Now, I'll tell you, in this year, we have 18 launches scheduled, out of which I think as many as 6 are private. None of them has withdrawn its request to launch, which means they still trust us. Somebody said that whenever I get disappointed from the world, and I think the world is no longer worth living, that's what Maulana Abul Kalam Azad said. He said, what rekindles hope is the cry of a newborn child from the neighborhood. So God still trusts us. That we have huge trust in us, including private. And next year, we have 3 big launches from foreign countries. One is Japan, other is US, and third is France. None of them have shown any appeal, which means our credibility, our trustworthiness, because those who are in the business of space understand our capacity, our resilience, and our confidence better. Because as I said, our success rate may be to a common citizen, which of course I don't hold grudge because they are so fond of now space now. The media and the common citizen after the success of Chandrayaan 3, there's a lot of fancy and romanticism about our space missions. I appreciate that, and that's why they come out with such kind of out of their own concern for us. So that concern is appreciable, but those who are into the business of this are not disappointed.
Clarify, you said there's a third party.
Sorry?
There's a third party review who's looking at the cause of.
Not third party, we also have experts from outside doing that.
Normally, at ISRO, they would have an internal failure analysis.
Yes, I agree.
And they would have an external failure analysis committee. So, is the Mantralaya appointing the external failure analysis committee for the back-to-back launches of PSLV?
No, obviously, we will follow the same pattern. You're right. We are already into it. The appraisal process is already on. And if it goes as the way we have advised, hopefully the next date may be June.
Do we know anything more than what is being revealed by the ISRO director as to what caused it? I mean, there is all that chamber pressure, etc. But
yeah, that is
is
what.
it a different?
No,
is it a different problem?
I appreciate what you are saying. I mean, that was the instant inference from. But of course, maybe we get all the details, only then we will be able to share, because sharing it with the very primitive details in hand may not be very fair. So that's why. So let's wait for a while.
Okay, a follow-up question on this. There was a lot of apprehension about back-to-back several failures of strategic missions. As the Minister of Space, are you or have you ruled out sabotage as an option of this failure?
As a Minister of Space, I am responsible for the launches. Not for checking sabotage or even conducting sabotage. So there are other ministries. I think the question would be directed to Ministry of Defence, or Ministry of Home Affairs, and Ministry of External Affairs. But as of now, We have not come across any such report.
Sir, just
Right.
a follow-up question again. There were 8 foreign satellites on both the places. You said that the mission will be attempted again around June. Have the same companies come back to you?
Beautiful.
So none of the companies has backed out.
Hi sir, this is Udisha from the Business Standard. You mentioned 193 applications have been received. How many applications are you looking to finalize and what's the timeline for that? And ultimately, when these organizations will go into investing into startups, what is the timeline we are looking for that?
Yeah, I think timeline is by the April-May timeframe, we will select few fund managers. And then the fund managers may take another 6 to 8 months, to actually make their first decisions.
So, but out of 193 applications, tentatively, how many applications will
I
be
think we have
finalized?
not, this 31st January was the last date, we have not yet looked at the data yet. So we will not be able to comment, what types of these fund managers are there and how many we select. There's only after the analysis we will be able to say.
Even the RBI funding guidelines or the circular that we released initially, we have mentioned this time gestation period of about 3 or 4 months, if you go through that.
Thank you, sir.
My question is to Rajesh Gokhale sir and Kalai ma'am. CCUS was a big announcement in this budget. You said that both the departments are already working on the research and development. Could you tell us a little bit more about the technologies that are in the pipeline, what kind of work that you're doing around CCUS? Because, especially around the utilization part of it, because it is a bit of a controversial a technology, so to say, because, there have been experts who have said that, when you're capturing and utilizing, you're basically saying that usage of fossil fuel is okay. So, what kind of technology are we backing on?
So, madam, it is a part, it has 4 parts, carbon capture, 3 parts, carbon capture, utilization and sequestration. So capture also there are 2 ways, one is direct air capture, the other one is captured from the outlets. So that is where 5 industries, Honorable Finance Minister has clearly told what are the 5 sectors, cement, steel, power sector. So all these carbon captures we are working the kind of materials that can really capture carbon very, I would say selectively, because it is a combination of COX, SOx, NOx. How best carbon alone could be captured is carbon capture. We are working on it. Already CSIR is running a project on CCUS mission. We have come up with some very good absorbing materials at different temperatures, because at flue gas condition, at normal condition, ambient conditions. So accordingly, we have 5 patents also. So carbon capture, we are strong in that. Direct air capture, again, at one particular level. In a confined atmosphere, direct air capture, we have already shown our success. But direct air capture, we are planning it in a big way, so that even in the open space, to what extent we'll be able to do that. So this is capture. Utilization, as you said, the amount of carbon that is captured, it should be converted into a value-added chemical. So here we have identified what are the chemicals which have been already listed by the Government of India as critical chemicals, wherein we have a lot of import dependence. So such chemicals we have, for example, adipic acid, I can tell you, polyurethane, I can tell you, wherein now the country is having 200% dependence on the import. So this captured carbon will be now converted into value-added products. This is utilization. And the last part is sequestration, which is not very strong like the way I talked about the first 2, capture and utilization. Sequestration, actually we are working very much closely with the oil and gas refinery industries also, and along with the GSI also. So in this case, sequestration, there are 2 different ways by means of which we can consider sequestration. NGRI, our laboratory, is working closely with GSI, and many of our labs like IAP, we are working closely with oil and gas companies by means of which how best the sequestration could be done underwater as well as in different ways also. So this is what CSIR is doing.
Just add to it this actually. I mean, if you really look at how biologically carbon is captured, It's why biological systems, right, the plants actually capture it, the oceans capture it. So in reality, the chemical, while is a easier method right now in present times, the biological carbon capture will become the futuristic goals of how this should work out. And most of the technologies actually will directly convert, like for example, leaves convert carbon into glucose, and that is utilized for every activity. Similarly, algae can capture carbon and convert into different products that are useful products actually. In fact, in one of the space project also, there are several algae went to the space project with Sudhanshu Shukla, Wing Commander Sudhanshu Shukla did experiments on that as well actually. So what we have now funded, almost more than 40 projects, in fact I think 46 projects to be exact, where several industries are going to set up various demonstration as well as pilot plants to make useful products from it. So the storage part in biological systems is actually converting into utility products of various kinds. And primarily these are import substitutes because you can very easily, start taking economic benefits and values out of it. And all of these will happen by combining the biomanufacturing processes through these algae cultivation that you would do under the carbon dioxide conditions that are required from it. So that's the futuristic goal.
So good afternoon. This is Sanjay Agarwal. So my question about the space mission, like what you mentioned about Sudhanshu Shukla, our captain. So we asked him about this, what research he did in space. So he said that the minister will talk about. He's not authorized to talk about that. So he talked, whatever research he conducted in space, he says he's not allowed to talk on that, the minister will talk. So is the right talk, sir, today?
Means he authorized the minister. No, nothing of that sort. I think what he meant was that we are yet to come with the final conclusions, but everybody knows, I think it's not a secret anymore. We had 7 sets of experiments, and I think the matter of pride is that the kits were indigenous, most of them born from the department headed by Dr. Rajesh Gokhale. Broadly speaking, in 2 domains, one is the life sciences, where we sought to understand the processes of biogenesis and bio-wasting, because they go through that process of wasting when they are immobile over there. That could have implications even in clinical medicine. Even if you suffer a small fracture, you're asked to remain immobilized, then you have to go through sessions of physiotherapy to recoup your muscle strength. So how best to strategize that? That is one set, because we made use of his Sajon over there. The other is, which also has a bearing with the media friends, prolonged use of these electronic gadgets, how it affects your faculties, etc. That was one. The other set was growing of these algae in this space, and this cyanobacteria, which have also resistant legs, so in order to study how best we could, and also the urea being converted. So how best we could, when we are now into the genetic processes also, how we could actually improvise on our plant physiology and plant methodologies, and also in the direction of our food security.
My question is to Professor Kalandikar.
But when you asked about this, I think when we are talking about it, as I said, the other ministries have also got something which has got something to do with one of these. So with the biopharma, we have also, now, and that pertains to what happened for the common man. 17 cancer drugs and 7 of them, and 7 plus 7 rare disease drugs have been made duty-free. So that's a huge relief. Because currently also we have a doctor retired from the health services whose daughter was detected as having Niemann-Pick's, right, flew to Alka in ICMR. But we are struggling for the drug because it's unaffordable for even a retired senior officer to. So I think it's been a very technology-driven and at the same time very sensitive as well.
Professor Kalandikar, can we have a timeline on the telescopes part of the announcement, and also the cost, each facility-wise cost?
So, the timeline coming up this facility will be about 5 years. The cost is, the optical telescope is approximately, 1800 crores. the solar telescope, approximately 800 to 1,000 crores will be the approximate cost. The total, all the 4 facilities will cost about 3,500 to 3,600 crores.
Hi. Sir, I wanted to ask about the Shanti
This
bill.
was an announcement, it has to, no.
Not yet gone to the cabinet.
No, this was a budget announcement, now we will be going the process of, the approvals.
Yes,
But, we have the DPR ready for, both the, major infrastructure.
So both of these projects are pending for a very long time. Solar telescope is pending for last almost 10-15 years.
No.
National Large Solar Telescope.
No, it has not been spread.
There are other telescopes.
That is because we are a consortium member of 30-meter telescope in Hawaii. That construction in Hawaii has been going on since, last, 2011 or 12, and that has been a significant delay, at the Hawaii site. So we are a consortium member apart from countries like US, Japan, Canada. But the solar optical telescope has not been running. We are only conceived, a couple of years back. And this will be, as I said, second largest such facility in the world.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Sir, I wanted to ask about the Shanti bill. Has there been any interest in the investment? And if yes, who has expressed interest in investing in the sector?
The Shanti bill to begin with has now become Shanti Act. So having said that, the current status you asked, we are in the process of framing the rules. Normally, almost 1 year is allowed to frame rules, but we would not take 1 year. Maybe next 6-7 months, we will be through with the rules. And once we are through with the rules, then I think we will be in a better position actually to negotiate with all the investors. But of course, there is a huge amount of interest domestically, internationally, in the public sector as well as in the non-government sector. And I was, in fact, personally, I felt flattered when our Minister for External Affairs was holding parleys with the US Secretary of State. The US Secretary of State complimented him for the Shanti bill, which means there is an interest across the sections of society and across the world, both in the government circles as well as the non-government circles.
But has there been directly an interest in investment?
Yeah, directly. See, once we are through with the rules and we make some offers or whatever, then the proposal will start coming. But they have certainly shown interest. And then also, I think what I also was trying to say after in a couple of the briefings after the parliament debate, that some impression tended to go around that it's only for big houses. You will see in course of time the smaller houses, the small groups will also come forward to show interest. Because we have now given different slabs. Like for example, if you want to put in 100 megawatt, then your liability level is lower. And suppose tomorrow a group of youngsters form a company and they want to indulge in this, so they'll have a different kind of option. So, and then we are also going to have small modular reactors. That itself is going to be a different domain. So there is, it's going to cater not only to the very high strata of business community, also at different other levels.
Okay, thank you so
We will
much.
make an offer. It's the private sector who will come to make an offer that we want to win.
Yeah.
That is how it
Yeah, it can be private, it can be public.
Public is already doing it.
Yes.
Private
No, no. Yes. They will come, but only when we put out something. No, मैं दुकान खोलूंगा तभी ग्राहक आएगा ना. अभी मैंने दुकान खोली नहीं, मैं दुकान सजा रहा हूँ. मैंने कह दिया कि मेरी यहाँ दुकान खुलने वाली है और सामान उसमें लगा रहा हूँ. दरवाजा भी खोला नहीं. तो जो सामान है वो रूल्स उसमें टाइम लग रहा है.
Okay, thank you. We'll now conclude.
Somebody, okay, see you.
So could you give an update on the Gaganyaan acquisition also? It was supposed to happen in December. What is the date?
No. Gaganyaan, of course, we are now on the track. We have missed the earlier deadline. Actually, we had very ambitiously planned it to go time with the 75th anniversary of the nation, but that couldn't happen because the COVID came, and then during the lockdown, these potential astronauts were in the Gregory Institute, Moscow, they had to be called back. Then, as I was saying earlier, you can't decide the date out of your fancy. And meanwhile, the other launches had been lined up, so it went on getting delayed. Now, as of today, very soon we are going to start the final series of test flights. So possibly we'll have 3 test flights for all the 3 different modules. Then finally one final non-human flight, which is like a dress rehearsal, which would be towards it, maybe towards the end of this year or the second half. The robo flight with a female robo. And possibly in the first quarter of next year, we might expect the first human mission in this space with 2 or 3 astronauts. That is still to be decided.
So this PSLV failure is not coming in the way.
See, as I said, we go by evidence. None of the stakeholders has turned his or her back.
No, I'm talking about Gaganyaan.
No.
PSLV failure is not affecting the Gaganyaan.
No, not at all, not at all.
Okay. So thank you all. Thank you, sir. Please join us for a high meeting. Thank you.